That is very funny. I'm glad I got the insight right there. Now let's talk about the actual football team. So USC, one of the most storied programs in college football history, 9 national titles. Let's just go back to the last couple of years. Let's trace back to 2016. Because I think that the last couple of years kind of defies USC football a little bit. So 2016, you have Sam Darnold at quarterback. For the Jets, he goes there. I think that he's going to be at least a stable quarterback. We'll see if the Jets give him some more help. But either way, you win a Rose Bowl 2016. 2017 lose to the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Fiesta Bowl. Yeah, I believe so. I'm actually a supporter of Ohio State, so sorry if you're a USC fan listening to that. Wasn't a great game for you guys, but hey, I had a little kick in watching that. But either way, 2018 was not the best season. 5-7 record. A lot of growing pains. And 2019, this past year, JT Daniels, a quarterback that I actually liked, he's a former 5-star. He got hurt, and Keaton Slav steps in. I got to tell you, he played pretty darn well. You guys went to a bowl game. You lost to Iowa, but I think that USC football has to be kind of proud of their football team this past season. So I just want to kind of talk about where do you think USC is as a program right now? Obviously, the recruiting was down this past year in 2020, but 2021, the recruiting's starting to go up a little bit more. We'll talk about that a little bit more down the road. But just where do you see USC as a program right now? Are they trending up, trending down? Where would they rank amongst Pac-12 teams? What are your thoughts?
Man, it is a program that is undoubtedly trending up, and it's trending up fast, man. It's really, from a journalist perspective, I get to the opportunity to have some of I get to be plugged in a little bit more than the average fan. And it's just so exciting to see everything that's happening right now. And it started, with, we hired a new, the school hired a new athletic director, Mike Bone. So obviously the Lynn Swan era didn't go the way everyone would have hoped. The football team was still good, but from what I can gauge, a lot of people just felt like it was a settling for mediocrity. Especially with Clay Helton, and a lot of people didn't want to see Clay Helton come back. People were clamoring for a guy like Urban Meyer, go poach James Franklin from Penn State, go get PJ Fleck from Minnesota. But Mike Bone comes in and he ultimately makes a decision to say, okay, we're going to keep Clay Helton for at least one more year. We're going to give him another opportunity. The team got a lot of injuries this year. We're going to give him an opportunity to see what he can do. And although that hadn't changed, and I'm not going to lie, I was part of the people that was criticizing Mike Bone for making the decision because it felt to me at the time that in keeping Clay Helton, you're settling for mediocrity. My mom always liked to say, nothing changes until something changes, which might not make a whole lot of sense at first, but essentially what she's getting at is, nothing's going to change until you change something about the situation. So you have to do something to improve the results. So I wasn't sure about retaining Clay Helton, but it did change, Jamon. So what happened was that they went and they changed the defense. They pretty much cleaned house on the defensive side. The offense was already pretty much set with Graham Harrell. You talked about Keaton Slovis. Man, if y'all don't know that name, everyone listen to this right now. If you don't know the name Keaton Slovis, if you don't know, now you know. Because that dude is going to be playing on Sundays one day. That kid is an absolute
throws a beautiful football. Beautiful football.
He throws a beautiful football. The plays he displays in the pocket for a guy who was a 3-star prospect, a freshman backup quarterback that had to come in for, the miraculous JT Daniels. So for somebody facing that amount of pressure, for him to come in and handle himself, not just on the field, but off the field with the poise that he had, that dude just screams. He screams franchise quarterback to me. I don't know if he's going to be this exceptionally talented dude that we see, but he's just, from a mentality standpoint, the dude is just gifted, man. So the offense has been set, but the defense is what needed to change. They went out and they hired Todd Orlando from Texas, actually. So they went and got their butts whooped by Orlando, right? So they go out and they poach the dude. And they say, okay, this is a guy that's known for his quick turnarounds. He's gone from place to place, and in every place, he's been able to get the defense going in a better direction fairly quickly. So they went and they grabbed him. And along with Orlando, they grabbed guys like Craig Navarre. He's the new safety coach. They got Dante Williams. They poached him from Oregon. He's the new cornerbacks coach. They got Vic So'oto. He's the new defensive line coach. And all of these guys, right, they stress physicality, intensity, really pushing the team to its limit during practice. And that's something because a lot of people had issues with the lackadaisicalness and the lack of, toughness, essentially, that the team displayed at certain moments. Going and getting these guys, that's going to alleviate that issue off the bat. They're going to make sure that they put these guys, what basically they've been saying is they're going to put these guys through the ringer in the preseason. So when it comes time to actually play some football games, they've been to those dark places and they know how to, emerge from those places victorious. And they stress the physicality of the game. And, at the very least, if nothing else, this USC defense is going to be improved in the fact that it's going to be mean. And, a mean defense goes a long way. If you have a dude strolling in your face for the entirety of the football game, at the very least, you can't really, it's tough to keep up with from that standpoint. And the thing that's really I love about these new hires is not only are they bringing that intensity to the field, but they're bringing it to every facet of the program, right? So even in recruiting, they're going out, and you talked about how great the 2021 class is. Man, these guys are, in the past, you've seen USC kind of rest on its haunches a little bit and basically say, yes, we're the story program. We're in Southern California. We have this established culture already. Why wouldn't you come to us? And they're essentially resting on their laurels on the fact that they're USC and expecting that to be enough to get recruits to come to the school. No, these guys are going out there. Now they're actually cultivating real relationship with these kids. And that goes out. Trust me, I've known a lot of people that have gone through the recruiting process, and I know how far cultivating a real relationship with a coach can go in terms of getting that kid to come to your school. That's what these guys are doing. They're on Twitter. These guys are working 24/7, 365 at making sure that these prospects know that they're going to be welcomed, loved, and appreciated, but at the same time, they're going to work their asses off once they come to USC. They're making that known, and you're seeing the results of it. I think they have the number 5 recruiting class in the country, and not to mention that Corey Foreman, who just decommitted from Clemson, the number 1 prospect in the 2021 class, dude just decommitted from Clemson because he wants to stay close to home. Asking you where Corey Foreman's from.
California.
Southern California, man. He went to Centennial, and if you look at 247 Sports right now, apparently he's like, the word on the street is that dude's, he might be coming to SC. So that's going to be adding to that 2021 class. The energy that, Graham Harrell and the new defensive staff are bringing to this program. They're winning in every facet of the game. Even things like videography, right? The video staff, they went and, do you ever see that, the video with the Joe Burrow on senior night, and the back of the jersey had the...
Oh, yeah.
They poached the guys who were doing that from LSU and brought them to USC because they want to win in that facet. And they said, not only are we going to be great on the field, not only are we going to be great recruiting, but we're going to be great at marketing ourselves as well. They're really putting an emphasis on winning in every single facet of the game. There's a quote from Mike Bone. He said, anything that's worth keeping score of, we want to be first. And that's essentially what I'm seeing with the program top to bottom right now. They're really committed to being that top-tier program that they have been in years past, that they were with the Pete Carroll era. They want to get that back, and I see it's definitely a program trending up right now. I love it, man.
I want to touch on Clay Helton a little bit more specifically. I have kind of been a little critical of Clay Helton myself. I was actually surprised that he was brought back. Like you mentioned, let's evaluate Clay Helton for a second, okay? I don't think he's a bad coach. He's a solid coach. He's won a Rose Bowl before. He actually has gotten on the phone and scheduled some tough opponents. So I actually like that about him. I like the fact that he's not too scared to play Alabama or some of these out-of-conference teams. Obviously, the recruiting class in 2020 was not good. It was 54th in the country. Oregon State had a better recruiting class. So he's got to take that L right there. He's a solid recruiter, but he's got to hold the L right there. As you mentioned, the 2021 class is going up as far as recruiting, so that's good to hear. But I want to get your thoughts on Clay Helton as a head coach. Is he the guy for the job, or do you think that USC kind of needs to upgrade? I think that they're more so on the side that they may potentially need to upgrade down the road. I don't know if Urban Meyer is going to come back to coach college football. I can't take Urban Meyer seriously as a Buckeye supporter at times just because at Florida, he said he was going to retire due to migraines. Then the guy comes back, doesn't miss a beat. And I don't know. I just think I'm a little bit of hit and miss with Urban Meyer as far as what he puts out to the media as far as how he feels himself. So I won't be surprised if he returns to coaching. But I do think that he's more so out the door as far as coaching goes, more so than coming back into the door of coaching. But what are your thoughts on Clay Helton as the head coach? How's he done so far?
Sometimes, man, the mark of a good leader isn't necessarily how much they actually put forth towards the goal of success that they're trying to accomplish. Sometimes the mark of a good leader is how much they trust the people around them to do. and they surround themselves with the right people, and they allow those people to do their jobs. We criticize James Dolan. This is kind of a little bit off topic, but I'm getting at a larger point here.
Oh, go ahead, man. You got time.
James Dolan, he brings in these people, but then he tries to have his hands in with everything that's going on within the organization, whether it's from a player recruitment standpoint, a player development standpoint, a player evaluation standpoint. He always likes to have his hands in it, and that's why the Knicks have been suffering for so long, and everyone's clamoring for him to sell the team. He's not a good leader because he wants to have his hands in everything and micromanage everyone. Clay Helton, from what I can gauge, he's not that type of dude, and he's right now surrounding himself with the right people. Graham Harrell he's a product of that Mike Leach coaching tree. He knows the air raid in and out. We saw how great that offense could be. I think they were 20th in the country last year, and they're only going to continue to get better now that Keaton Silvas has more time under his belt. You look at receivers like Tyler Vaughns, Brew McCoy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, Kyle Ford. There's so much talent on this offense, and Graham Harrell is going to be so good in terms of cultivating that into being something successful. He's surrounding himself with all these great defensive coaches, Todd Orlando, Craig Navarro, the guys that I just mentioned that are not only going to raise the intensity on the defensive side of the ball, but they're also winning in the realm of recruiting. I wasn't a fan of Clay Helton when I first got to USC because it seemed like he was the guy that was going to be, it almost was the equivalent of Marvin Lewis. The team was never going to be that bad, but it was never going to be as good as you want it to be. So you might have to get him out of the door if you really want to ascend to the pinnacle of college football success amongst the LSUs and the Alabamas. But what I'm observing now is that although he might not be the greatest, strategy head coach, and he might not be the most intense guy, he's a steady head for the organization and the program as a whole, and he's getting great people around him, and he's allowing those people to do their job. So from that standpoint, I think that you give Clay Helton another opportunity. I agree with the decision from Mike Bone, and he might not be the stereotypical college football great head coach, but I appreciate the fact that he's a good enough leader to bring in smart people and guys that are capable of pushing the team towards that goal. And allowing them to do their jobs without putting his hands in it too much. I think that's the mark of a really good leader. So from that standpoint, I think that USC was smart to keep him for another year.
Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I currently am a freshman there right now. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.